Okay, well, hello everyone, and welcome to MSCO's February Magic Mixer. I am your sort of host and also your presenter, Elizabeth Hyer Rose. And today we're going to talk about the new paradigm of consciousness. And when I was thinking about this, I was thinking about, oh, this is kind of a reality check. Hence, it is called the reality check. Um, so, one of the things that made me start really diving into this was not just some of the things that I was experiencing personally from my work as a healer and a channel, but also what I've been witnessing, and I'm sure what we've all been witnessing, kind of in our world, this crazy chaos and everything speeding up, and it seems like things are falling apart and coming back together and falling apart and coming back together, and everything's crumbling and everything's possible, and it's kind of this really intense bag of stuff. And um you know all of that is actually accurate. Things are falling apart and everything is possible. The old paradigm is crumbling, the systems, identities, the assumptions we have, even the way we relate to reality itself is kind of falling apart at the seams. But at the same time, this incredible new paradigm of being, of consciousness, is becoming more and more available to us. And what I'm calling, and I think what many people in these circles are calling this new paradigm of consciousness, is a monumental evolutionary upgrade in human consciousness. And it's not necessarily in what we can do. It is in how we allow ourselves to perceive what is already there. And it's how we are able to recognize that much more of what reality actually is. And while this isn't necessarily new, it is becoming more and more prescient. Instead of life happens to me, we're moving into life responds to me. Life responds to my frequency. And as that happens, our internal receptors sort of start to expand and open, and we're able to perceive, conceive, and receive that much more. And kind of because of that, that's where the chaos feeling comes in. And certainly, with the crumbling of old paradigms and old ways of being and new ways of being rising to the surface, there is inherent chaos anyway. So I'm not necessarily trying to address all of that. I'm trying to help us navigate our way through some of the things that seem very turbulent or that seem like very heavy and dark chaos, and recognize all the light that is present as well, and how we can, in our own beings, rise to our own occasion and and allow ourselves to embrace reality in a whole new way. So where I'd like to kind of jump in with that initially is a bit of a reframing of future. So I'm a huge proponent of your future anchor. All healing comes from the future, anchoring ourselves to the future. And even in my work and my learning, my brain has always sort of focused on the futures out there. It's out in front of me, and I've got to go out and grab it. It's sort of our common model. Even if we understand that there's no time and there's no space, we have been wed in a certain way in our collective consciousness and even in our metaphysical consciousness to some degree to, well, the past is back there, the future's out there in front of me, and the present moment is all I have. And in a certain sense, in the way we have constructed our reality, that that's true, but it's also incomplete because what is more true is that the present moment is a point of access. The future and the past, or what we call the future and the past, are all aspects of who we are in the moment that we perceive ourselves to be in. So it's it's all existing within the same framework, and it's really a matter of, oh, right, that's already an energy that exists for me. And that's why sometimes our past feels so heavy. And why, if we shift one little way that we perceive that thing that happened, oh, well, wow, that has ripple effects. It's because it's all part of this wondrous container of us. So the future is already there, which is why it's so powerful, which is why we gravitate, which is why people that don't even have necessarily the language for it set goals and do this and this is what I'm going to do in the future, because there, in some way, that goal, that idea, that concept, that dream, that possibility already exists. And it exists now. It exists for us in the moments that we have. And with this sort of evolutionary shift, with this move into a new paradigm of consciousness, that ability to tune into that frequency of the future, using quotes, the version of ourselves, that version of our reality that already embodies what we desire, already embodies that energy, that thing, yes, even that actual tangible thing that we want, we are able to access that in a particular way. And it allows that resonance to carry into us more directly. So it's kind of like going, huh, that reality, that future part of myself, I like that one. I'm going to take that one. Okay, great. I choose it. And then our frequency, our being, our now can't help but align. And it certainly sounds super easy. And I think in a lot of ways it is, but we always get in our own way. So we are so wed to linear time and space, the idea of time and space. And in a lot of ways, we kind of have to be. We have to, because we're functioning in a time and space reality. But the opportunities are expanding where we can kind of, shove that off a bit and move into playing with the question of what is time? It's a construct that I'm using. So I can access certain things. And this sort of feeds into the physics of it in a certain way. The engine that allows this to propel, the engine of this new consciousness. um, this evolutionary shift upgrade that the humans are participating in by choice. They don't have to. None of us have to. Um, we are moving from cause effect to, I like to call it effect to, excuse me, cause effect moving to dominion, or cause effect moving to effect creates cause. So we've been living in and functioning inside a fairly Newtonian way of operating in physics. And, matter on matter, cause and effect, force-driven reality moving us forward. And then, of course, we expand into quantum and looking at the quantum field and having that understanding of quantum locality, like, oh yeah, everything kind of exists together, and everything's connected, everything's entangled. Oh, okay. It's kind of an intellectual, in many ways, understanding, unless you're a physicist. Even then, I think for some of them, it's an intellectual, it's a math understanding. But there is a way that can move that together, that thread of everything being connected. And for me, and the way that I interpret how things are unfolding in the reality, is the thread is dominion. So it's sort of the physics of dominion. And when I think about dominion and when I talk about dominion in this context, I mean it like this. Dominion is an alignment with sovereignty, with our personal sovereignty. It is the state of being that you are attuned to your soul and you are rooted in the divine, however you define that. And where your authority arises from inner truth rather than control. So it's not about force, it's not about manipulation, it's not about overriding reality or overriding anyone else's choices and reality, but it's about a certainty of your own frequency and perhaps a certainty of your frequency within the whole and how it connects and how it's related. And it's also knowing that we're not separated from source. We're not separate from God, Goddess, all that is. It's the divine source, God, Goddess, all that is not outside of us. It's not out there. It is expressed through us. We are part of God, Goddess, all that is, and there is a piece of God, Goddess, all that is, that threads through each of us and threads through the reality. And that is like, when we tap into that, man, like, the talk about feeling empowered. And it's, you know, autonomy without isolation. It is power without force. And it is choice and creation without struggle. And that doesn't necessarily mean that we will have lives without problems or conflict or anything like that. But the way we allow ourselves to move through those challenges that we face, or the problems that come up, or the strife that we encounter in the world or in our own worlds, we move through them in a different way, through our own grace, through dominion. And I think about it like it's not manifesting in the traditional sense. It is reality reorganizing where authority, your authorship, your dominion is legit, basically, where your frequency is embodied, it's aligned, it's integrated, and then the reality can't help but align itself. And that's why dominion is you can't it can't be forced or visualized or pushed into being. It is just an is. It responds to the this is who I am. And therefore, this is how reality behaves in my presence. And it's, I think of it as like non-invasive, physics. It's like, hey, this is my reality, but you're not separate. You're not functioning outside of anyone else's reality either. It is really just a matter of your sovereignty to hold what is true for you. And instead of controlling outcomes, Dominion stabilizes a field so that compatible realities gel and incompatible realities fall away with grace. And misaligned situations can't really function. So if you find yourself like stuck or trying to force something in your reality, perhaps, sit back and see if it falls away or if a new way to approach it gracefully emerges when you let go. So that's sort of how I see it playing, operating, allowing, offering in our reality. And it doesn't it doesn't add dominion, doesn't add power. What it does is it sort of reduces the static or the interference to hold and own our power, to hold and own the power and empowerment that's already there and already within us. And that sort of brings me to the sort of flip from cause and to effect creates cause. So with dominion, I see it sort of flipping the way the sequence works. So when you shift your frequency, the effect, the corresponding reality, the cause can't help but reorganize itself in response. Because when we sort of go back to looking at it in quantum terms, it can't help but do that because it's not separate. We're all part, it's all swirling around, and we're all part of the same locality, and those realities and that energy and those frequencies are part of our locality. So it takes away the I have to go get the thing I want because we're already entangled with it. And we don't have to try to make something happen. We can. We don't have to try and make something happen because it's already happening. So if we shift to observe it, it then pulls in and can collapse into our current time and space. And that requires surrender. And surrender isn't giving up, surrender isn't ignoring, but it's letting go of control. So it's I think of it like it's a release into our natural state of being. I think naturally, organically, we don't control. But when faced within the constraints of reality, we freak out and want to control everything. At least I do. I'm a I am a type B control freak, which is a little paradoxical, um, but when that happens, when we allow ourselves that surrender within this paradigm, that's where oneness stops being a concept and becomes a lived, breathed, everyday experience. And that's pretty freaking exciting because when that anchors into your being, that not only can change your life, but it can change the fabric of the world in which we live. And I don't know, part of the reason we're here is to change the fabric of the world in which we live by changing ourselves, of course, and living our lives in our truth and the way we want to. And that changes the world. And how fabulous is that? So, in order to do this with elegance, in order to allow this upgrade with elegance and ease and a bit of grace for ourselves, we need to upgrade our bandwidth. We need to like tune our networks and get, get more. Oh, I can't do the metaphor. I can't think of it. I'm not technical enough. But we need to expand our personal bandwidth. And we need to shift our observing and measuring devices. We need to train our receptors, our intuitive and energetic sensors, so that we can perceive beyond the reality, even if wow, the reality that we perceive is super incredible and magical and mystical. There's so much more. And so as we shift all of this, we can perceive beyond not only our habitual maps but the of reality, but the maps that have been in place, even metaphysically speaking, for a very long time. So the veils are sort of opening in a certain way. And this always makes me think of, well, not always, I haven't been thinking about this for a long time. This makes me think of Magellan's ships, they're the sort of the story, the indigenous people. When the ships arrived to the Americas, they didn't recognize the ships because they were there, right there in the harbor, these big giant ships. And they couldn't see them because they didn't have the observing and measuring devices to see them. I'll never forget one of my mentors, Lazarus, said this in a seminar, I don't know, probably 20 years ago, and that stuck with me so it stayed in my head. Like it's how we allow ourselves to perceive. So we're in another Magellan moment. Like the resources, the guidance, the support, the new physics, the opportunity from the universe is all open to us. It's already in our harbor. We just have to unlock more of our observing and measuring devices. We have to give ourselves more maps. And all of that stuff already exists, as we sort of talked about earlier. We just have to calibrate in a particular way. And sometimes with the calibration, with the upgrades that are so readily available now, and the way our world is changing so quickly, and the way we're probably changing internally so quickly, the way we think and feel and how we make choices, and then, wow, I had that thought, and then this thing happened, that can fritz you out. That can really create chaos within the body because it can create anxiety, it can create fear, it can create confusion. It can also create excitement and wonder and all that stuff, but that doesn't make us grip. Well, actually, some people it does, but whatever makes us grip with that expansive energy, there are ways that we can work with it that allows that awareness to be, oh, all right, I know what this is and I know what it isn't, and I can work with it. The other thing I want to point out is with the volume of information and access to understanding and new realities and ways of working, as that all comes into play, the sheer volume of it can sort of feel very overwhelming and chaotic. And there's always the choice that, hey, I don't want to deal with that. I don't want to listen. I don't want to I don't want to play with that part of the possibilities here. Um, and that's okay too. We don't have to. We have choice, and choice becomes that much more powerful. So when we start embracing and examining and exploring this expanded perception, this new opening, this evolution, and we start stepping into it at our time, in our place, in our space, one of the keys to navigating it is to ask for help from your unseens. Like, just say, hey, I need help with this. I need help expanding. I need help condensing. I need help having it integrate. Help me do that. Our unseens are great for that sort of thing. Higher self, soul, spirit, guides, angels that you connect to, even awakening, just asking the goddess or God or source, however you communicate with that. And that helps to calibrate you in a certain way so that you can begin to recognize what is expansion and what is something that may be triggering in your reality. Um, so it's sort of like, oh, I don't need to be on red alert, or I do. It's like identifying fear or real anxiety. I know a lot of healers that pick up other people's anxiety and all of their people that are empaths. Um, but you don't have to be a healer to be an empath, but uh, because there's a lot of empathic people that absorb energy. So, and they get fritzed out and fried and their nervous systems get shot and they don't know why. And it's because it's other people, they're picking up other people's stuff or stuff that's going on in the world. So tapping into your unseens or asking for help, asking to just have them like siphon off stuff that doesn't belong to you, or anxiety or chaos that isn't yours, or to help you integrate what is expanding. That's how I have mostly used it, to used their help in this capacity to help, just whatever needs to be expanded within me, help me expand it. And, you know, it certainly is important to, have that relationship that you trust, of course. And I would assume that the unseens that we commune with, that on a regular basis we do trust them, and certainly your higher self. So if it's only your higher self or the goddess or God, that's a great place to start. And it could be start and finish there. Um, Grounding is always key, I find. And there's so many simple ways to ground, literally just standing in the earth and just rooting yourself to the earth. You can use the frequency of earth. Um, there is just imagining, like if you're in an office building, or, you're having a moment and you're in the air, you're on an airplane or something, you can just imagine that you're grounding, or you can feel the resonance of what grounded being means to you. Feel that in yourself, feel it in one of your chakras, or just imagine it. And another thing that I think is really potent particularly in integrating all of the expansive energy that and understanding that's available to us as we move into this new consciousness is stillness. To just periodically, whether you're feeling the chaos of it or not, to sit in stillness and let it do its thing. And I always close my eyes when I do that because I get very distracted by what I see, even if I'm by myself. It's like, oh, yeah, that painting really is cool. Like, but if I close my eyes, I was just looking at a painting that's across from me and I'm like, wow, it really is. Um, See, I got distracted. Stillness allows it to integrate, and it also super calms your nervous system. Even if you go into it like, like your nervous system is freaking out for whatever reason, take a breath, close your eyes, and just be. You don't have to ground. You don't have to think about anything. You don't have to try and connect to anything. You just allow that space within yourself. And often I find, interestingly, that dominion, that feeling rises up in that stillness. And wow, you can really move from there. Even if you still have, stuff to sort out and deal with and process, it you move with more internal grace. And I did say this at the forefront, but the conscious filtering is important. You might get like tons of informational downloads, or you might wake up one morning and go, wow, I had some galactic experience there, or I feel so much happening in the world. I feel all the expansion and all the collapsing all at the same time, and there's so much happening in the world, and you know what? I don't have to process everything at once. Just because I can perceive more, just because I have an expanded awareness, does not mean that I have to deal with it all right now or ever if I don't want to. But you can choose what frequencies you want to interact with, what new concepts you want to allow in, what new perceptions you want to engage with. And you can put the ones that you're not into off to the side for now. Um, you know, that's the beauty of choice. And that's the beauty of sovereignty and dominion and your own authority is I get to choose. And because things are happening so much faster, choice becomes that much more potent. What I choose to engage with, what I choose not to engage with, how I choose to navigate something. So choice is more potent and probably more important than it has been in terms of how we use it in reality creation, how we use it in the living of our lives, and how we go about creating the realities that we want for ourselves and our world. So, with all of that, there is so much opening in terms of, like, I call it galactic support. And yes, alien energies or aliens, what we call aliens or galactic beings, non-humanoid expressions, energy, intelligences, however it's described, they are described, or, non-human intelligence, vast arrays of open galactic energies, beings, intelligences are flooding into our, I guess we would call it our solar system, but it's flowing into our realities. It's there is so much out there, and we can really tune into that. We can allow ourselves, I don't mean it like, I mean they could, but I don't mean it like spaceships are going to start, you know, ET spaceships are going to start, dangling around all the time, although people have spotted them. There's a lot more sightings, even though there were a lot there's always sightings, but they're more frequent, and these galactic beings are letting themselves be more known to us because we are letting ourselves be more known to ourselves. We are opening. So there's this sort of what's being flooded into this new paradigm of consciousness is all of this other stuff, all of these other beings and lives, and what life actually is, and what it means to be outside of what we can perceive. And we have a choice there too. We don't have to like jump on the galactic bandwagon. We don't have to do any of that. It's a choice. We can tune in or we can tune out. And there's tremendous beauty in tuning in, but there's also power in tuning out when you're not interested, or it's too much, or it doesn't resonate. Just because it's available doesn't mean we have to do it. And the power lies in choosing what we want to engage with and how we want to engage with it. And that is liberating in this vast choice that is out there now, all of this opportunity. And it's all an invitation. This new paradigm of consciousness, this evolutionary upgrade is an invitation to anyone that wants it. And the invitation is I'm going to stick my toe in the water, or I'm going to jump right in. And we don't need to force anything. We don't need to reach for anything with it. It's really a matter of opening and allowing our systems, our energies to register and recognize what it already knows. And we know a lot more than we think we do. And it's just a matter of how do we want to do that? What choice are we going to give ourselves? It is about It's not really about seeking the new paradigm. It's allowing the new paradigm recognize us and where we are. And really the only true limit is our own capacity to recognize and receive. And so I'm gonna close with this. And it was a question that was asked to me by my team. Um, what are you now willing to allow yourself to have? It's just as simple as that. And I was like, well, okay, fine. And then I thought about it for just like a millisecond. I went like, oh, that's actually kind of a profound question to ask me. When you're actively engaged in reality creation, to have your unseens go, what are you really willing to allow yourself to have now with all of this possibility? So I leave you with that to think about that. Um, and think about it a little bit because we're going to do a meditation, a ritual. It's sort of a meditation. It's pretty short, but if there's something you're willing to allow yourself to have, we can open and you can anchor to that. And that, as they say, is that. That is the reality check. So I am happy to I have more questions about all of this than I do answers myself, but I'm happy to answer any questions or if anybody has any comments or anything like that before we sort of roll into the ritual activation. I'm happy to try and answer them to the best of my abilities. Uh, and that's what I got. Oh, hang on. Hang on. Gail, did you? Oh, somebody unmuted you. I was trying to figure it out. Somebody did it for me.
Elizabeth, first of all, I want to thank you. I want to thank you for being an inspiration. I want to thank you for the thought forms, like little bubbles of reality creations that you floated forth from this window of light. And the first thing that came to me is magic, is
Mm,
the process of creating reality in accordance with your will. And you've mentioned willingness in so many different ways. So we are indeed creating magic. The other aspect of what you indeed mentioned was aliens. And I remember in a seminar, Lazarus said, there are more non physical beings here than there are physical. So can we call them aliens or what? Thirdly, you mentioned these are all aspects of what you put forth that I take delight in is we are creating the movie in which we are appearing.
yeah.
Basically, that's it. And as far as grounding, I have two copper balls. Years ago, Penny mentioned sometimes copper balls. Copper is a conductor. And we can ground ourselves and also rebalance that which is non balanced within by holding on to copper balls or, of course, using crystals. But those are my thoughts in response to the delightful energy that you poured forth, and I thank you for that.
Oh, thanks, Gail. And I'm so glad you mentioned crystals because and copper balls because they're great grounding tools. I can't God, look at all the crystals behind me. I can't believe I forgot to mention that. But I forgot to mention it, but you did. So that is awesome. And yes, we are making the movie. And that's where all the power is, that we're doing it. And now we're allowing ourselves a bit more of understanding, I think, of that. I think that's what this shift, this new paradigm is a bigger bandwidth of understanding and perhaps choices in how we can do that with more ease. Oh, righty then. Okay.
I
So,
wanted to say thank you too. That was awesome. And there's
oh, well,
so
you're
many great
welcome.
reminders and touching on with, Lazarus and the Magellan ships. And it's like it's so true. And it's so true how instantly we can just shift and change everything from with our frequency. We can go in with fear and go, no, what would excitement look like? Oh, and then everything changes. It's just
Yeah.
I mean, it's profound. So thank you for hosting this, and I'm excited about our ritual.
Yeah.
Thank
Well,
you,
you're
lady.
you're welcome. And it really, it's that simple. It's not necessarily easy all the time, but
Yeah.
But
But
it
we're
is
here
that.
for the challenge, right? That's why
That's
we're
right.
here,
That's
is to
why we're
grow in
here.
this
We're here for
form.
the 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 containers, the limitations of physical reality. We're here to explore our way through them.
I
Right.
hope.
Um,
Yeah.
okay.
Elizabeth, I just want to say I really loved what you said about dominion. All the things that you said about dominion, it was great. And it was such a wonderful reminder to remember just, to see dominion in those ways.
Yeah.
So
Thank
thank
you.
you. Thank you.
I was thinking about it because I feel dominion a lot, and I was like, how do you articulate it beyond like, oh, dominion is blah, and so I really sat with how first it was sort of how I feel in that state. And then I just sort of went beyond that and asked, like, how is this? Because it's not, there aren't a lot of words, so much can be, so much is, so much can be communicated without words, but we need them. We need the words. So, but thank you. Thank you for saying that. It's,
I'd like to add too your talk on Dominion as well was wonderful, and it's a struggle to express Dominion, but one of the ways that I look at it is when you're in your stride, when you if you play a great piece of music and it's all working,
mm,
whether you listen to it or whether you're walking with excellence or swimming with excellence or just being, looking and viewing. And in that moment, you had touched on it. I feel a sense of dominion. So thank you for the talk. We really
thank
appreciated it.
I think that's great. I think that's a great way to think about Dominion as that feeling. It's like people, athletes or musicians, as you said, in the zone. And it's hard to describe what that is. Yeah, that's actually great. That's a great way to anchor that, actually. Thank you.
Being
And
on your
I say
X.
hi to Gail Roberts too. Hi, Gail, our national treasure.
Yeah. All right. If nobody else has, oh, sorry, I didn't mean to put that paper there. If nobody else has any comments or questions, do they want to add something? That was all very enriching. I really appreciate what you all shared to add to this conversation. Um, so if nobody has anything else they'd like to add, without further ado, we're going to roll into a little ritual activation anchoring our dominion. Should be pretty fun. Okay, so let's just begin by closing our eyes and just allow your breath to deepen and your body to soften. Take nice, slow inhales. And as you exhale, just let your body settle in. Settle in to yourself, just arriving. Now gently invite your awareness to the top of your head. Imagine a current of soft white light. It begins to move from above your head and into your crown. It's not forcing its way in, just gently moving into your crown chakra. And this soft white light will move slowly and naturally with your rhythm through each of your chakras, each energy center of your body. And as it moves, it carries with it anything you're ready to release. It moves through your crown, your third eye, your throat, through your heart chakra, your solar plexus, your sacral, and your root. Moving down through your body, through your chakras, allowing whatever is ready to be released to move down into the earth, where it is received and where it will be neutralized. And you don't have to decide what needs to go. Your system already knows. So just allow it as this light moves through. And now imagine or simply sense a gentle mist of light beginning to form around you. The color could be the same soft white light that just moved through your body, or it could be a soft pink or a violet or a vibrant ruby red or a deep, rich blue. There's no right or wrong color. Whatever colored light appears to you is exactly right for you. Allow this beautiful colored mist of light to become more present, more dense, more settled. As this light settles around you, you become completely enveloped in a luminous sphere of light. Nothing exists outside of this field. There's only you and this living presence of light. Within this sphere of light, there's a feeling of wholeness. You feel yourself whole. You feel empowered, not by effort, but by your truth. And you feel embraced by love. This is divine love. And it's not as something outside of you, but it's something that you are already a part of. Simply be in this love, this divine bubble, this divine sphere of love. This is dominion. It's not control, but certainty. It's not striving. It is pure alignment. So just be. And now, very gently, this dense sphere begins to soften. The beautiful light begins to thin and become a mist once more. And as the mist clears, you become aware of a timeline, a reality of your own design. You're not imagining it, you're recognizing it. It's a timeline where you are living in alignment, where what you desire is present and your life reflects who you are. You may have a very vivid picture of this timeline. You may not see it clearly at all. You may feel it emotionally. You may simply just know. However you perceive it is the way you are meant to perceive it. This timeline is not separate from you. It is you expressed differently. It's not something you're reaching for, you're recalling it. You're witnessing it now. Observe. Just observe it. Allow it to change, shift. And now gently bring your awareness back to your body. One by one, your chakras begin to gently open and expand. It may start at your crown and move down to your root, or from your root up, or it may start in your heart and hop around. But all the chakras in your body's energy open and expand. Your crown, your third eye, your throat, your heart, your solar plexus, your sacral, and your root. They simply open and expand. And with this open and expanded beingness, with your chakras open and receptive, simply allow the essence of that aligned timeline to settle in to you through your chakras, or one of them, or several. You don't need the details. You don't need the images. You're allowing in the frequency. You're allowing in the way it feels to be you in that timeline. Welcome that frequency into yourself. Welcome it by your choice. As it moves into you, you may feel something activate. You may feel nothing at all. Alignment doesn't require sensation. It just requires your choice. So choose and receive this timeline. Choose and receive this alignment. Choose and receive this timeline of your dominion. Let it be in you now. And your chakra centers begin to close gently, holding this timeline. And that beautiful mist once more begins to form. It gathers around you softly, supportively, enveloping you. And it carries you back to this moment, in this room, in this body, in this time, in this space. But you return in dominion. You return with a new timeline alive within you, not through effort, but through recognition. Just take a moment and recognize that. And then take a nice, deep, grounding breath. And when you're ready, you can simply allow your awareness to return to your here, your now, knowing that you have that alive and in you now. And so it is.
That was beautiful, Elizabeth. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
What a beautiful ritual.
Thank you.
Indeed. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Well, I want to thank you all for joining me today and joining us here at Mountain Spirit Co-op. And I just want to give you a friendly reminder for what's coming up in March. March 11th I'm not sure if this is actually the right time. March 11th at 5 p.m. Arizona time. Oh, I think we have daylight savings. So it'll be 5
We do. I
p.m.
checked it.
5 p.m. Pacific East Arizona Mountain. I don't know, whatever it is. Check your time zones. But in any event, let's get back to the more important stuff. March 11th, getting out of your own way, a Q1 check-in. It's going to be presented by Leanne Romine.
Yeah.
Okay, Leanne Romine with Celeste Holly as our host. What she says about it is, as we wrap up the first quarter, join us as we hold space to pause and take an honest look at how the year has started. We'll explore what might be quietly getting in your way and gently clear what's no longer serving you, sharing clarity, grounded insight, and a realignment that helps you move forward with more ease and intention. Well, that sounds really good. I hope you all can join Leanne on March 11th. And thank you again so very much for joining me today. Have a wonderful rest of your evening.
You
Great to see you all.
do. Yeah, good to see you.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you, Elizabeth.
Thank you.
Thank you, Elizabeth.
Thank you. Good night.
Good night. Great job, E.
Thank you.
Hi, Alice. Thank you.
Yeah.
Great to see you too, and I'm glad you guys could make it.
Me too.
I remember checking the timeline. That was beautiful. That was so great. Thank you, E. It's so funny. It, I'm glad so many showed up from the list, and you did a wonderful job as always.
Oh, yeah, it was fun.
You did great.
You know, we're still recording.
Oh shit.
Oh, I can't stop it. I thought I could stop it.